welcome back to the WOW series. I'm Abigail Gibbons, the host and creator of the WOW series, and we are here sitting down with Arielle Gross Samuels of Facebook for our next WOW interview. Today, she's going to talk to us about her challenges in the workplace, her career journey from starting as an engineer to her role now at Facebook, where she is really championing equality and social good for the organization and for our communities. She speaks with us ahead of our event on March 10th, which is in celebration of International Women's Day, called Current Feminist Figures. She will be a panelist along with four other incredible women who have started exceptional corporate careers, but also are finding ways where they can advance equality and social good in and out of the workplace. So this event is going to be so important, especially when I think of that young professional who's trying to figure out what are my passions and how do I pursue those? And how do I have a corporate career and outside passions? Where do I combine them all? So we'll get into all of that at our event. Today, we're going to talk with Arielle about her personal story. So Arielle, I'll let you take it away.
Thanks so much. And I appreciate the warm welcome and introduction. So nice to meet everyone. So I've actually been at Facebook now almost 8 years, and I've done a variety of roles there. But most recently, I launched a team focused on 3 core pillars. One is called business equality, which is the actions that businesses can take to pursue diversity, equity, and inclusion. The second is social good for business, so how our partners and clients can unlock social impact on our platform. And the third is called strategic audience engagements, and that's how we package up the thought leadership around both of those areas and bring them to market at scale. So it's a great deal of passion for me, and I'm lucky that I'm able to work on this every day.
Awesome. Thank you, Arielle. I know when I found your position, so we got connected through Sandra, who's another speaker, and I thought it was so interesting. And I didn't even know that like a department like this existed at Facebook. And I think there's so much chatter online, offline about, in a negative light, like what is Facebook doing? They're doing this, they're not doing enough. And we need more conversations about what the company is doing and what women like you are doing to really change that narrative. So before we get into more of your personal story about your career and your challenges, I'd love to hear a little bit more about how you got started at Facebook and how you fell into this role.
Oh man. So I'm an engineer by training. And so after college, I worked at Deloitte for a few years doing engineering consulting, but wanted to really get into tech. I wanted to work in a fast-paced environment. I wanted to move to Silicon Valley. And so I remember applying to Facebook, and I finally got the role in June of 2013, doing product operations and focusing on photos. And from there, I was able to really learn about the product, learn about how to best create features and develop products for the people that we serve, for our community. And I did that for a few years, loved it, and wanted to move to New York and really understand our business as a next step. I wanted to expand, from the product information and sort of knowledge base into business. And so I moved to a team called Creative Shop to run global programs, and then joined global business marketing, where I sit today, where I was the business lead, sort of a chief of staff role, overseeing the business and operations and strategy of the organization, and built this team within global business marketing from there.
Wonderful. And then I'm a bit curious too, if you don't mind, what does that mean? Like, what's the actual execution of when you're working towards social equality and business equality and inclusion?
Sure. So I'll give you some examples. So on the business equality side, as you might know, COVID really took an enormous and outsized impact on diverse communities. So one thing that we led is a grants program supporting Black-owned businesses in the United States, who have been, those businesses have shuttered at 2x the rate of non-diverse businesses. And so we were able to provide 10,000 businesses with grants of cash and ad credits to help them grow, get back on their feet, and bridge the gap, especially during lockdown scenarios. We have a range of programming. We support women entrepreneurs on our platform. We help businesses eliminate harmful bias. But that grants program is certainly near and dear to my heart. On the social good side, a lot of the work we do is focused on our commitment to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, and specifically Sustainable Development Goal 8, decent work and economic growth, and how we can help businesses both accelerate inclusion in how they're restructuring themselves to pursue a more equal future in the economy, but also how we support youth and the next generation of leaders. And we also have a range of products. Businesses can raise funds on their pages. They can do fundraising and donations. They can create communities around the cause that they care about. They can help tell those stories at scale. And so we really want to empower businesses to commit to something and to be able to share that with the customers that they serve.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. That's great to hear and hear how you're actually implementing that in the community. And it's really interesting to hear how you went from an engineer in that background to now look at what you're doing. Like, I'm sure you maybe expected or never expected to be in the role that you're at now.
Totally. It's been a journey.
Yes. So about the journey, let's get into a challenge you've had to face in your career. So you've been at Facebook for 8 years now. As we just said, your background was totally different from what you're doing now. So what's a challenge that you face in your career, especially for these younger 20-something professional women who are going through similar experiences now?
Yeah. So, my challenge actually dates back to when I was in engineering. And I remember being in certain classes, certain laboratories, and being the only woman in the room and feeling this burden when I opened up my mouth to speak that I was representing an entire gender. And I needed to show up with knowledge and be equipped and armed with the latest facts and know my stuff. And so there was a preparedness there, but also this feeling of this burdensome feeling of needing to use my voice effectively and get across the points that I thought would be most prudent in those conversations. And so that's an interesting challenge, because I think that a lot of women face qualms about how they use their voice, especially in corporate settings. And certainly we're given feedback as women with a great degree of frequency in terms of talking too much, talking too little. When do you champion for yourself versus championing for others, this and that. And right, that resonates. And so I think cultivating that voice over time has been a really important tool, frankly, in my toolbox. I think that having a point of view that's strategic, that's grounded in data and facts, and then being proactive about sharing that is something that's critical. So I actually, in many respects, use that challenge as an opportunity, because I learned at a young age how important it is to show up well, to be eloquent, to be effective in communication from those engineering days. But now that helps me and serves me well in the business environment.
Absolutely. And I want to circle back on something you said there, because I really relate to that as well. So when I first started my career, first I worked in sports, and I was actually in race car driving, IndyCar.
Wow.
And incredibly male dominated, to the point where I mean, and I was young. This was my senior year of college, going to be my job after, and I had to leave because it was like just crazy. It was a crazy place to be as a young woman, and I didn't really have the resources to stand up for myself. And when I did, it felt like no one could hear me. But I still took pieces of that with me. And then I went to work in corporate America here, and I'd be in meetings, and it was like, okay, Abby, you really should have spoken up in this meeting. And then I'll speak out at another meeting, and then I'll be like, oh, you shouldn't have said anything there. Like, you were here more so to just observe. And I really relate to that struggle of what you were saying about we need to speak up more, but then we shouldn't speak up here. And here's how we should it, and here's how we shouldn't do it. And there's just constant feedback. And I remember looking back to my younger self, feeling very confused on what my voice was. And now that I'm older, I've learned through error that I shouldn't so much listen to what other people tell me that my voice should be. It's more so, what is my voice and how can I use that? And other people
Absolutely
become okay with that. But I was definitely very, very affected by the feedback that people would give me. And it almost kind of set me back in finding like what my voice is, because I cared so much about, getting great reviews, being the top performer, this, and that I felt like I lost a little bit of my voice in the process. So what is your advice, with that said, what is your advice for your younger self and the younger professionals in the workplace who are going through what you experienced?
Absolutely. So this is an old phrase, but one that my mom used to share a lot with me when I was growing up. And that is, if not now, when? And if not me, who? And so I love that phrase. So if not now, when, to me indicates urgency, which is, yeah, sure, we're young. We hopefully have a long life ahead of us, but we need to move fast to make real change, to make sustained progress in the world. And so I certainly think about my time as being this element that is finite and it's irreplaceable. And so operating with urgency is something that's core to how I show up. And then if not me, who? That to me indicates a certain individualism to lean in, to raise your hand, to sort of, you look around sometimes and you think, you know what, I'm ready for this. I was built for this. And I want to at least throw my hat in the ring to offer my support, to take on, in the leadership capacity, solving this problem. And so I find that very empowering. And I would encourage, I think there's a common misperception that you're going to be tapped on the shoulder. And if you just work hard and keep your head down,
Mhm.
like somebody will notice you.
Yes.
Like, yeah, maybe that works, but not really. I think if you want to make things happen, you make things happen. You produce the opportunity, you run after the solution, you create change and value for the company. And so that's my advice. If not now, when? And if not me, who?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And I love that it came from your mother. That makes it even better.
Of course.
I 100% agree on that. And I think that's a reminder that anyone can really take forward in their career. And something that I think of too, I had that same idea, misconception, oh, I'll start a business, but like when I'm older, or I'll be a CEO of another person's company, or this, and that. And then finally I realized, um, well, I want to solve for this problem and I'm not finding it in my personal life. Why don't I just go out there and solve it? Because if like no one else is doing it, I might as well. Or other people are doing it, so therefore I know I can do it also. There's so many incredible women's organizations, but that's a big mission for what I'm doing as well with the WOW series, and really helps, especially in times of doubt or questioning, or you're unsure. I think that confidence of, well, if who else will do this if I don't, is really can be a driving force. So Arielle, I will wrap it up, but want to pass it to you if you have any last minute words of advice or wisdom or anything else that you want to share with our community.
Thank you so much. I just love that you're doing this. I think you're creating so much value for women all over the world, and this next generation especially. So these moments really are so important, especially during a time when we're still separate. We can be connected virtually. So thank you for what you're doing.